Hey everybody, this is our response video to Hakim's video on does commodity production exist under socialism, which is actually just an explanation why Soviet was capitalist. He tries to argue there was no labor market or exploitation of workers, that means surplus value. But you can't really have an commodity economy without having surplus, and for that you need to have surplus value extracted from the proletarians. And that surplus value will be used for all the unproductive labor of society. It's also weird arguing there was no labor market just because the state owned everything. Uh, that doesn't change the fact that workers got paid a wage. They need to get paid a wage because they needed to buy commodities, so they needed to have an equivalent value for that commodity. Therefore, wage labor existed. In every aspect of the Soviet economy, you had commodity production. Stalin himself admits that every means of consumption produced, that was a commodity. Of course, peasants and their petty bourgeois production there. Stalin only argues that the means of production produced, they were not commodities unless they were sold to other nations, of course. But even then, the heavy industry were audited through profits, so clearly value existed in that economy. So right now we have the law of value pretty much existent in every sphere of the Soviet economy. And the reason why there's no commodity production under socialism is because we have already abolished private property in socialism. I thought everyone knew that, and of course, wage labor, commodity production are all just categories of private property. And if you want to quote mine, which is always a fun thing to do, we can have Lenin here. From the All Adult Congress. I will link it. But we say that our goal is equality, and by that we mean the abolition of classes. Then the class distinction between workers and peasants should be abolished. That is exactly our object. A society in which the class distinction between workers and peasants still exists is neither a communist society nor a socialist society. True, if the word socialism is interpreted in a certain sense, it might be called a socialist society, but that would be mere sophistry, an argument about words. Socialism is the first stage of communism, but it's not worth fighting while arguing about words. One thing is clear, and that is that as long as a class distinction between workers and peasants exists, it's no use talking about equality. Unless we want to bring grist to the mill of the bourgeoisie, the peasantry constitutes a class of the patriarchal era, a class which has been reared by decades and centuries of slavery. And throughout all these decades, the peasant existed as small proprietors, first on the heel of other classes and later formally free and equal, but as property owners and owners of food products. That was, of course, the situation in Russia, the Caucasus. Everyone had a little land of property, which was pretty productive. I think produced like 40% of the agriculture output. So just to sum up this video, socialism abolishes commodity production because this abolishes private property. Hakim is just coping for Soviet, saying, oh, material conditions, that's why socialism looks like capitalism. But also, of course, just a pretty backwards thing of looking at it, and it's pretty common too, which is weird.